Hey, what's going on, role players? It's the Bard here, and welcome back to the corner. So I've been experimenting with a few things recently, but it's time to get back to those things we all love, and it's those D&D 5e character class analysis videos, kicking off again with the fighter. The fighter is considered the backbone of many adventuring groups, but I enjoy it so much because it's just such an accessible class. It's great for beginners, but it's also amazing for veterans alike. Fighters stride onto the battlefield with deadly honed skill, and the beauty of the class is that no two fighters are ever the same. Because of the way the fighter is set up, it's just a case of picking the things that you really want for it, and then everything else that you get just helps you to do your job better. Fighters have the flexibility to excel in all kinds of situations. They have the toughness to back it up, they're devastating when it comes to combat, and you can even make wild and wacky characters from all the parts that are available to really add another level of depth to the character. The fighter might seem unassuming at first glance because it doesn't have a huge variety of different abilities, but the thing it does have make it an absolute powerhouse. Just because fighters aren't taking on the form of some avatar of the divine, or they're not casually tossing around meteor swarms, doesn't mean they should be underestimated. In fact, very few creatures should underestimate a fighter, and those that do rarely get a second chance. So we're going to kick things off with the fighting style, and there isn't really much to say about it because it does exactly what it says on the tin. So you get your archery, your defense, your dueling, your great weapon fighting, your protection, and your two weapon fighting styles, and any one of these can really help to define your character. However, 5 out of the 6 really lock you into one specific type of character. So your archery is giving you a +2 on attack rolls when it's made with ranged weapons, so naturally you're going to want to look at things like bows and crossbows and throwing darts and things like that. Dueling is going to give you a +2 damage bonus on any one-handed weapon that you're using. Great weapon fighter. This ability is allowing you to reroll 1s and 2s, giving you really consistent damage with great weapons. The protection is allowing you to impose disadvantage, but you need to have a shield as well, and that also uses your reaction. And your two weapon fighting allows you to add your ability modifier to your offhand attacks when you're using the two weapon fighting style. But I think one of my personal favourites has to be the defense fighting style. It gives you a straight up +1 to AC. You can just put it onto your character sheet, forget about it, total it into your normal AC, and just carry on as per normal. Even though you don't have some of the unique abilities that help you fight better, if you're going for a really weird kind of character build or something that's a little bit unconventional, then the defense fighting style is really good because it just tacks on and you don't have to use any specific kinds of weapons or employ any kind of specific tactics. Also, the defense fighting style makes a naturally good choice for anyone who's going with the champion archetype. If you've already got a particular kind of style, say archery or great weapon fighting, and you don't really want to be dabbling in multiple kinds of different weapons, then of course you can always go with defense and just get that bonus while still being able to continue using your favored weapon of choice. It's also really good for multi-class characters if both of those particular classes have access to the fighting style. You're only going to want to pick one, or you might have a specific kind of class that only has a couple available to them, such as Paladin for example, or Bard with the College of Swords. So if you were to multi-class into something like Fighter as well, then you're going to want to have a look at something like defense fighting style as part of your fighter progression, just so you're not missing out on anything. So moving on to Second Wind, as a bonus action, you can get 1d10 plus your fighter level regained as hit points. As if having d10 hit points per level wasn't enough, you also get to replenish a bunch of them whenever you feel like it. So you get to use this action once per short or long rest, and you just regain a number of hit points, taking loads of pressure off of your cleric or any other dedicated healer you might have in the group, and just allowing you to continue to stay in the fight and keep the pressure on when you're dealing with really tough opponents, or if you're being overwhelmed by lots of smaller mobs, for example. This ability is a welcome addition to any kind of fighter character, but it really excels when you've got characters who are able to use some damage reduction or have got some way of getting resistance onto them that helps them to avoid much of the damage anyway. Because as the DM is slowly chipping away at your HP total, feeling like they're getting a little bit further forward, you can just smugly say, I'm going to use a bonus action to use my second wind, and then you can just top yourself up with D10 plus your fighter level and additional hit points. The cleric doesn't even have to look in your direction half the time. You're either so well armoured, so well defended, or you can just use your second wind that they basically don't have to worry about you. You can pretty much go at it self-sufficiently for a huge amount of the battle, and you'll still be going when other members of your party have actually had to fall back and regroup and get some healing done. You can just still be in there smacking away at the enemy and hitting them to your heart's content. So I'm not going to cover martial archetypes because anyone who's a regular at this channel will know that I always do archetypes in a separate video. So we're going to move straight on to ability score improvements. Now, I never do ability score improvements in these analysis videos because it's just a thing that everyone gets. But I feel I really should cover it when it comes to the fighter because you just get so many of them. So your average character class is looking at 5 ability score improvements. The fighter, on the other hand, gets a massive 7. 7 ability score improvements that you can either use for improving your ability scores, or you can trade them in for feats. Feats are the fighter's bread and butter. Anything and everything that the fighter does is defined by his feat selection. Archers want to have sharpshooter. Great weapon fighters want to have great weapon master. Defending characters want to have things like sentinel or shield master. They're just too good not to take, and they help you do your job so much better. Once you've maxed out all your favourite ability scores, you can be liberal then with your feat selection. You can pick up anything and everything that makes you into this absolute monster on the battlefield. Even if you've got all the feats that you need to perform your combat correctly, you can still afford to invest in things like Resilient or the various Armor Master skills, because you get so much extra benefit from having all of these things just piled onto your character. In fact, even if you've got a partially magic-based fighter like an Eldritch Knight, you can still benefit from other more tailor-made feats, like Warcaster for example. Combining Warcaster and certain other things like Polearm Master can give you absolutely crazy combinations that you can deal so much damage with. Add in the fact that the human race has a variant that allows you to get hold of another feat right at the beginning of the game, and you are looking at such a versatile character that will be prepared for almost any situation. God, I just love that tune. You just know something big's about to go down whenever you hear it. Bonus points if you can name it and where it comes from as well. Speaking of things going down, nothing more encapsulates that than these next 2 entries. The extra attack and the action surge. This is where it gets crazy for the fighter. So the fighter strolls onto the battlefield and it says to his opponent, I see your extra attack and then I raise you to more extra attacks. Extra attack is another one of those particular abilities that wouldn't really get any kind of notice, except for the fact that the fighter comes along and goes, yeah, I think I'm just going to have a couple more than everybody else. You're getting to make 4 attacks as your basic action, and that's not including other things like Polearm Master or 2-weapon fighting. Honestly, fighters get so many attacks it would put a Hecatonchia to shame. If you don't know what that is, then figure out how to spell it. Go check it out, put it in your search bar, put Hecatonchia 3.5 stats, and then look it up in D&D Wiki. Did you see that thing? No, just nope. I'm done with that. So yeah, fighters, they put those things to shame with the amount of attacks that they get. And alright, that's an exaggeration, but the fact of the matter is you get so many attacks and it just takes up so much time. Numerous of the times that my D&D players have come back to me if they're playing a fighter and said, do you know what, I'm just going to roll my scores here, carry on with everyone else, and then come back to me and I'll tell you what I rolled in total. And by the time I've got around every other player, my fighter is still there working out his damage scores. Of course, it's a fairly even spread. You don't have to worry about the fighter having 4 attacks until he hits level 20. But even so, even if you just get up to 2 extra attacks, it's absolutely devastating for encounters. Fighters just wipe the floor with anything they come across. In fact, never has that statement been more true as when you combine your extra attacks with action surge. Action Surge requires nothing to use, is usable every short or long rest, and gives you a whole other action plus a possible bonus action. Now for a character that's already got 2, 3, 4 attacks, maybe more considering the fact they might have unique fighting styles, and then just saying, I know, I'm going to use my Action Surge and get all of that again, for no other reason than just being a fighter. It's now got to the point where whenever someone uses an Action Surge, I don't hear the words, I'm using my Action Surge. Instead, I hear this. Did you hear that? I'll play it again for those of you that didn't catch it the first time. As soon as anyone says Action Surge, my mind just goes straight to that place. This is because I know exactly what's coming. We'll take our example from earlier about how we go around the entire table before we get back to the fighter who eventually gives me his damage scores. If he decides he's going to use his Action Surge as well, not only does he have to go through all of his main attacks, but he has to go through all of his Action Surge attacks and any extra bonus actions he gets as well. And then it's just like this. At which point I'm usually thinking, yeah, probably should have put another one of those monsters in. So next time I go ahead and put 2 really big bads in, only for the fighter to remind me, yeah, I got another one of those Action Surges when I hit level 17. So there isn't anything to really say about Indomitable, except that you just get to re-roll your saving throw. The benefit with it, however, is that you do get to re-roll even if you've discovered that you failed, so you don't ever end up wasting it, you don't have to guess, which is always nice. You get this ability at level 9, you get it again at level 13 and at level 17, allowing you to use it a total of 3 times per long rest. That being said, even the single use of it that you get at level 9 is still really good. Fighters get Strength and Constitution as their proficient saving throws, which, in all honesty, isn't amazing. The great majority of the time you're going to be looking at things like Reflex and Will. Constitution is okay when it comes to certain things that are more fortitude based, but Strength isn't one that you're going to be using all that often, in my opinion. But then again, I guess it just depends on the kind of creatures that you're encountering. Indomitable makes for a very handy defense, because essentially the one thing that really messes up a party is when their fighter goes down or is incapacitated in some way. Numerous of the times that a whole party is nearly wiped because someone has managed to charm or make a suggestion to the fighter and turn them against the party, in which case the results can be devastating. So you want to be able to keep hold of your senses and be able to have full control of your character all the time. Having that reroll on saving throws just allows you to do that. Well guys, thanks for listening to this fighter analysis video. The next one to follow will more than likely be the archetypes, probably then followed by unconventional fighter. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It's great for promoting the channel. If you've got any opinions of your own, that's what the comment section is for. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, it'd be really great to have you as part of the community. I'm also running a competition until the end of February. Me and my team made a fantasy style adventure builder for role-playing games. So if you would like to try to get your hands on that, there'll be a link in the description down below and you can enter the competition there. Check out the video, see what we've made, and if you like it and you think you wouldn't mind having one of those for yourself, then by all means just follow the instructions given and I'll add you to the list of people to go into the random draw. Thanks again for listening to this fighter analysis video for D&D 5e, and with all that being said, I will see you guys next time at the gaming table.